So this idea came to me in a flash of inspiration, and I just had to make a video to share this idea with you. And it's radical, but we need a solution for the problem of new number ones in comics. So I'm sure you know, in mainstream comics and comic book shops, there's this problem where they're constantly relaunching to number one to try to get people to jump on the story and collect the number one issues because they're going to be worth more, and to really clearly indicate that here's the start of a new story. Now, people are frustrated because they're relaunching more and more often, right? It used to be every once in a while, and then it became like, now it's like every 12 issues and then every 6 issues, and they keep shortening the amount of time that they relaunch. But here's the idea. I think they're not relaunching often enough. My idea is to relaunch every month. Now, I know it's crazy, so hear me out. The thing is the number one is where the story starts. So people will go like, okay, I'll give it a try. But what you do in my system is the number one is a complete story. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? Because the number two, you're relaunching again. You're relaunching to number one again. And it also has a complete story, that book. The beginning, middle, and end. But I hear you say already, yeah, but why? What's gonna make people come pick up number two? But here's the trick. You are not naming it. It's not a number two. It's a number one. Okay, but the whole problem now becomes, well, people are gonna know what you're doing, so they'll just quit. But that's not how you do it. The number two, that's the number one. It is a number one, just like number one, with a beginning, middle, and end. But instead of calling it number one, you call number two, and it also has a beginning, middle, and end. So people can jump on number two also. And you keep doing that issue after issue, complete story. Now, you start to ask the question, I know, how do you get people to come back? If the story's ended, they're not like, they don't got the excitement to come get the next issue. Here's the thing, it's a new story thing that I'm proposing we start including in our stories. So the book that has a beginning, middle, end story, it has, we call that the plot. But in that story, you have like maybe a scene or two where you introduce just a chunk of another story. And so it's not the plot, it's kind of lower than the plot, so you can call it like subplot, I say. Let's say subplot. In the next issue, the next number one that you're calling number two or number three, number four, number 84, whatever it is, it's actually a number one, but it's called number whatever's in the sequence. You take that subplot from before and you bump it up to plot. And then in that book, you put a new subplot. And you keep going through that plot, subplot cycle, so that each time people are like, oh, I see, there's a subplot, and it's going to become a big story, so I better keep buying the new number one that's named the actual number in the sequence. And because every story has a satisfying full story, I can jump in on any number one that's actually numbered whatever numbers in the sequence and get an idea of where things are at and kind of pick up on these subplots. And after like many many years of doing that, and you're on issue 64, here and there what you've done in previous stories, you put a chunk of a story that's even smaller than a subplot. And it's like just an idea, right? And you kind of let it go. But after years of relaunching to number one, but calling it whatever the number in the sequence is, you reveal that little idea was actually really important, and you're really training your readers to keep coming back and paying attention and being excited for every detail in the story, because later on that small little detail that seemed like a throwaway thing becomes like the beginning of an epic high scale story, like so big it's like an event. It's like an event in the book, right? And each of these ongoing relaunches of number ones that are actually numbered, the number in the sequence, they have their own events in it. And like every 10 years, you have a super big event where they cross over, and people are super excited and they're buying up all the books. And also you make the books $4. Thank you for subscribing. For more tips, link is in the description.